The 2025 F1 season is finally drawing nearer and nearer, but what has changed for the upcoming season? Well, in today's video, that's what we're going to be talking about, as I'm going to be talking about the 6 main rule changes for the 2025 Formula 1 season. If you enjoy the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get into the video. Number 1, the fastest lap point. In 2019, as a way to try and help spice up the races and give a reward for the driver who set the fastest lap, a rule was reintroduced to Formula 1, and that was the fastest lap point. As the title suggests, this point was awarded to the driver that set the fastest lap in the Grand Prix. The rule itself is very straightforward. You set the fastest lap, then you get an extra point. There was concerns that the World Championship could be decided by a fastest lap, but in reality, given how many points you get for wins these days, it is actually pretty tricky for a championship to be now settled by just 1 point and a fastest lap. There was also a concern by the FIA that we could see a scenario where all of the drivers outside of the top 10 pit on the penultimate lap, and we see P11 to P20 all put on a fresh set of soft tyres and go for a fastest lap, which would have probably made races look a little bit silly and make the sport look less serious. To combat that, the FIA made the rule that you could only score the point if you set the fastest lap and finish in the top 10. It was a rule that didn't really add a great deal to any races in the end. In fact, a number of years between 2019 and 2021, we saw whoever was in 6th place between Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull dive into the pits and put on a set of softs, and then go set the fastest lap and score that extra point. It was really just a gift for whoever was the lowest scoring top driver. There was never really anything controversial about the rule, until the 2024 Singapore Grand Prix, where VCarb stopped Ricciardo so he could set the fastest lap, which was currently held by Lando Norris and Mclaren, who were fighting Red Bull and Verstappen in both championships. Ricciardo managed to beat Norris's fastest lap, and many saw this as Red Bull using their sister team to stop McLaren from scoring an extra point. Essentially an unfair advantage to the Red Bull team as they have Red Bull and VCarb. Because of this, and the rule not really adding to the spectacle, the FIA decided that for 2025, the rule will be dropped. Number 2, changes to the qualifying rules. This one is another rule that has been tweaked and clarified. It is not really something that I believe has ever been needed, but it is more of a what-if rule. The rule used to be that if drivers couldn't set a qualifying lap, then they would take the fastest lap from the previous sessions from that weekend, meaning that in theory, FP3 could have set the grid for the Grand Prix. However, this has now been changed and rectified to say that if for whatever reason qualifying simply cannot take place, then the grid will be set in championship order. It is a small tweak, but one that I suppose does make some sense. Number 3, the introduction of driver cooling systems. This is more of a health and safety rule that the FIA has decided to introduce for the drivers to protect their health when on track. If the weather forecast predicts temperatures of 31 degrees Celsius or above at some point during the sprint or Grand Prix, a heat hazard can be declared. This will mandate that the teams must fit cooling devices to the drivers to try and regulate their body temperatures and stop drivers from overheating, like we have seen previously in Qatar. A driver cooling device is defined as a system which is designed to provide additional cooling for the driver, and is set to be delivered in the form of a fireproof shirt that allows a fluid to be pumped around a series of tubes. This would also include a pump, plumbing, and a thermal store to generate the cooling. This means that once again, the minimum weight will be going up by a couple of kilos to accommodate this. Also, driver weight will be going up to accommodate the bigger drivers such as Oliver Bearman and Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon. I just want to say if you are enjoying the video so far, then I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. But now, let's get back to the video. Number 4, limits to drivers running old cars. in order to reduce the amount of circuit time that current drivers can have in older machinery and essentially stop teams like Mercedes or Ferrari conducting a bunch of tests in old cars, limits have been imposed. Current Grand Prix drivers can now only do up to 4 days of testing in old cars, and those 4-day tests will see a limit of 1,000 kilometers of testing, which is just over 3 Grand Prix distances. In total, the teams are allowed 20 days of testing in old cars. The other 16 days then are essentially dedicated to rookies, such as how we saw Kimi Antonelli racking up the miles in his Mercedes F1 car last year. Number 5, an increase the amount of Rookie FP1 sessions. In 2022, a rule was introduced that forced every single driver to sit out one FP1 session so that the rookies could get a shot in an F1 car during an official F1 session. This is a rule change that proved very popular with young drivers and also plenty of fans. As for many, this is an opportunity for the fans to get to learn the names of some of the future stars of motorsport and Formula 1. Well, for 2025, the rule has been altered, and now every driver must give up 2 FP1 sessions for the rookies, meaning that, yep, teams will have 4 FP1 sessions now where they will have rookies in their cars. A rookie will be defined as a driver who has competed in up to 2 F1 races in their career, meaning that technically if he was not an official driver, Jack Doohan would still be able to compete in the test as he has only entered 1 Grand Prix. Oliver Behrman, however, would not be allowed to do this as he has now started 3 races already. Personally, I really like this change as it gives us more chances to see the future talent in Formula 1 cars. And number 6, tighter restrictions on flexible wings. The final change worth talking about is the change in flexible wings and the tighter restrictions coming in. The FIA has tightened up the technical regulations surrounding the rear wing and DRS, with the main changes focusing on defining the state's deployment and restrictions to only 2 positions, that of course being closed and open. This has been brought in to close off the mini DRS concept, where the top element of the rear wing tilts backward at high speed to reduce drag, which is of course what we saw Mclaren doing at Baku to great benefits. To help with testing the rear wings, they will face bigger tests. Previously, there was an applied load of 10 newtons. That will now become 30 newtons. If it fails, then the rear wing would be flexing and would be deemed not legal. At the Spanish Grand Prix as well, the rules around deflection on the front wings is changing, and the front wings are going to be under more stringent tests as well, in order to try and combat front wing flexing. The rules are going to be changing with regards to the amount of flex that they are allowed to do. The flexibility changes mean that the front wings will be allowed to flex by as much as 10mm. Currently, they can flex up to 15mm, so the teams will all need to strengthen up their front wings. This change means that the wings are likely to become slightly less efficient and more draggy. Currently, they lean back, which reduces the amount of drag down the straights, and naturally, they become more efficient. This also means that through the corners, the strengthened wings could alter the balance of the cars on the front end, leading to potentially a changing of the running order from the Spanish Grand Prix. With that in mind then, there is a lot to be excited about for the 2025 Formula 1 season, with all of these little changes adding up to potentially make a big difference. So there we have it, a number of little tweaks and changes coming in for Formula 1 in 2025. Which change are you most excited about? In the comment section down below, please do let me know. And as always, comment, leave a like and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.